Risers are not quiet, no matter what you do. Maybe we need to try the tennis ball trick, because we know it works. It is now my true pleasure to introduce a strong partner of our association, our acting commissioner, Angelica Allen McMillan. The acting commissioner has been the top education official in New Jersey since October 2020, a proud product of New Jersey's public schools. Commissioner Allen McMillan taught in the East Orange Public Schools before launching the Marion P. Thomas Charter School in Newark. Her professional educator roles are many and varied. She served as assistant principal and principal in South Orange Maplewood, as an assistant superintendent in Irvington and in Newark, and as the interim executive county superintendent for Morris County. A parent of 3, she served as a board member on the Montclair Board of Education and also volunteered as a PTA executive board member. Our acting commissioner holds a bachelor's degree in industrial and labor relations from Cornell University and a master's in educational administration and a doctorate in educational leadership from Seton Hall University. There is a more detailed biography of acting commissioner Allen McMillan and her team members in your folder. But at one point I must mention is that acting commissioner Allen McMillan has proudly served as a mentor for new administrators through our very own Leaders to Leaders mentoring and induction program. So she's one of us from way back. Personally, I thank her for her openness and her partnership, for answering my texts when they come in at odd times of the night, and for always being a willing partner to talk with us, engage with us, and hear from us. I cordially invite Acting Commissioner Angelica Allen McMillan to the podium for her remarks and to introduce her top leaders in the New Jersey Department of Education.
Thank you.
Acting Commissioner.
Thank you. Good morning. Yes, first, thank you, Karen, for the introduction, for hosting myself and members of the Department of Education today. I have to say hi, Jim. Jim and I go way back, and I tell you, I think the work that Jim leads is so transformational. So I just have to acknowledge you and all of you who help to enhance the next generation of leaders. So applause to you. So I would like to acknowledge the New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association President, Arlene Rungoff, today for what you said. It was wonderful. I truly feel uplifted and inspired. And our President-elect. Now, Thomas, please be understanding with me as I work to pronounce your last name correctly. I have Macanono. Macaniano?
It's called me Mac. So.
Mac. Macaniano. Listen. I think this is what it's all about, being vulnerable, right? Sometimes we get it wrong, but as long as we work to get it right, that's what matters, right? And I want to really acknowledge all of the NJPSA staff and members here and those virtual. New Jersey's public schools have been recognized among the best in the nation. Having served as a principal, assistant superintendent, and in other leadership roles, I truly believe this recognition is partly attributable to the quality leadership we have in our schools across our great state. As educational leaders, you are a cornerstone in the foundation of all student success. I am joined today with members of my cabinet. As I call their names, they'll just wave. Kathy Ailing, Assistant Commissioner of Educational Services. Jordan Schiff, Assistant Commissioner of Teaching and Learning Services. Chris Irving, Assistant Commissioner of Field Support and Services. And standing in for the capable Carrie Booker, who leads our Division of Early Childhood, is our Chief of Staff, Julie Bunt. And in the audience, please wave, we have our Acting Executive Director, Kim Friedel, with us today. So let's give a round of applause. In a few moments, you will hear from each of these experts who will discuss the ongoing work in their respective divisions. It is with great excitement that I highlight initiatives that are driving the New Jersey Department of Education's vision for education in New Jersey, which is to become a model organization that strengthens teaching, leading, and learning in order to increase educational equity for all students. The Start Strong Student Assessment is an initiative that has garnered tremendous feedback from educators. Thank you for leading. Yes, so this week, the department announced that the Star Strong administration will be discontinued. I'll take applause, too. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. So the assessment was initially offered in the fall of 2020, as you may remember, as it helped to provide real-time data to schools, again in 2021 and 2022. However, this spring marks the second school year of uninterrupted administration of the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment. So for the past several years, we have worked to advance assessment in New Jersey under Governor Murphy's leadership. Everyone in this room knows that the governor is a staunch advocate of less assessments, having fewer assessments, and so we continue to work to achieve that goal. But I have to say, for the past several months, I have had the opportunity to attend various county meetings in which the question was posed on the relevancy of this administration, and that is of Start Strong, not my administration, but on both, okay? Just want to make sure you're listening, okay? Yes. So, as evidenced by the recent decision, right, to discontinue this assessment, we want you to know that we listen, right? And we may not always arrive at the same conclusion, but we are listening. So the discontinuation of the Start Strong administration will allow us to reinvest $5 million in funding at the state level toward other important learning acceleration initiatives. In turn, it will allow you to reinvest the class periods that you devoted to this assessment into much needed mental health and wellness, as well as learning acceleration instruction at a local level, which allows you to be more responsive to each of your school's needs. Much of our discussion today will also inform the means in which the department can continue to support educational leaders to boost learning acceleration, support mental health and wellness, and advance early access to high-quality preschool education. The department's multi-pronged approach for advancing learning is captured in our New Jersey Partnership for Student Success, or NJPSA. Raise your hand if you're familiar. Participation, okay. Oh, very low. Ooh, we must do a better job. Thank you, Jesse. See you. Yes. I know you did. And I'm going to ask everyone in here to sign up. So our NJPSS initiative is an umbrella catchment for all of the wonderful work that we're engaged in, but we need your help. And so there's a call to action for 5,000 volunteers to help in our schools, help in your locales. So I hope that you will take the time to assist us in that effort. But I want to also particularly highlight our desire to recruit tutors, mentors, student success coaches, wraparound service coaches, and others who can support students and educator empowerment, right? And so from this, we know that we can move mountains together, right? If we work alone, we're looking at mustard seeds. Can I get a laugh, something? Thank you. All right, so through NJPSS last month, the department announced $17 million for high-impact tutoring, $2.7 million for the Reading Acceleration and Professional Integrated Development Program to provide training to educators from kindergarten to third grade, and $3 million for the Rapid Plus program, in which colleges and universities will provide specific literacy instruction to educators in grades 4 and 5. Recently, the department provided resource documents targeted for more than a dozen specialized populations, including migrant students and NJPSS speech services. In addition to providing online training to facilitate the implementation of the New Jersey tiered system of supports in early reading. So to learn more about this, please visit our website. But our efforts are truly driven by one underlying goal, and that is to help you as educators and school leaders to help students succeed. Overarchingly, this commitment of support has been evident throughout Governor Murphy's administration. Last month, I joined the governor in Montgomery Township in Somerset County, where we announced the continued monumental and historic financial investment in education. And the proposal in the fiscal year 2024 budget proposes $1 billion over the prior year's budget for a total of $20.5 billion for preschool and K-12 aid. That is worth a round of applause. So a key part to our efforts continues to be addressing the teacher shortage as seen in New Jersey and across the nation. These efforts include investments such as a $10 million allocation in stipends to support student teachers while they work and study. Again, wonderful work. Thank you for your advocacy. Another $2 million will go toward a culture and climate innovation grant to help districts support educators' quality of life. $1 million is proposed to go toward a public awareness campaign to help encourage interest in teaching and raise the profile of the education profession. And another $1 million in funding will be used to develop local partnerships to help train paraprofessionals and offer tuition assistance to those seeking to become teachers. This is in addition to a highly anticipated certification fee holiday in an attempt to further eradicate the complexity that many educators face when they want to obtain their certification. So if I leave you with one message, it is this: we at the Department of Education understand the challenges of serving as a school leader. We understand the challenges you face and commit to using all available resources in supporting you in the implementation of the change you are working to advance. As equally important, we appreciate your efforts to forge ahead in service to the students and communities you serve. So it is now my pleasure to turn the program back over to Karen. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Acting Commissioner. We very much appreciate your words of welcome, your support, and touching on a lot of the important topics that are going on right now. So what we're going to do to begin our conversation with the leaders of the Department of Education is we're going to invite each of the assistant commissioners, to give a brief overview of any of the high points going on in their departments, and then we will have the opportunity to invite you to pass the mic, ask questions, point out things that are important to you, and we'll take it from there. So it is truly my pleasure to introduce, I'm just going to run mostly down the row here, I think. I'm going to introduce my longtime colleague and friend, Dr. Jordan Schiff. Dr. Jordan Schiff is the Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Teaching and Learning Services, which comprises the offices of Standards, listen to this list, Standards, Assessment, Innovation, Educator Effectiveness, and Career Readiness. Jordan was also my superintendent when I was a principal. So Jordan, if you'd be so kind, please tell us a little bit about what's going on in your department.
Thank you, Karen. Great to see everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
So just to highlight a few things that are going on in the multitude of offices that I have the privilege of overseeing. First, in assessments, you heard the news that came out about Start Strong. But also very important is that we're moving to conversations about the next generation of assessments. What are assessments in New Jersey going to be looking like in the future? What are the needs? What are the reasonable expectations for those superintendents? And how we can stakeholder with not only you, but other stakeholders throughout the state in order to make well-informed decisions about how we can address how we best assess students in the future. In the Office of Standards, our major work stream right now is presenting the revisions of the New Jersey Student Learning Standards in ELA and mathematics. That is currently going on right now. We've had multiple hours of presentations to our policy committee of the state board, and we'll be presenting it publicly in early April. And I ask that all of you really take a good look at the draft of those standards. There'll be a 60-day comment period where we'll read all of the comments. Those comments will inform our decision-making as we present our final recommendations to the state board for adoption. We anticipate in the summer for implementation, not next year, the following year. So we'll have a full year of readiness, implementation, providing all of you in the field with guidance documents that we're calling STAMP, which stands for Standard Transparency and Mastery Platform. These are guidance documents, supportive documents, exemplars that we'll make available to the field so that as you begin the process of implementing the standards with fidelity and integrity, you'll have support in order to do so. In the Office of Educator Effectiveness, we're working on identifying our lighthouse districts, where it's also where all of the teacher recognition in the state of New Jersey lives, and that's exciting work too. In the Office of Innovation, some of you may be aware that we issued a notice of grant opportunity not that long ago to implement additional focuses on climate change. So those additional resources are available. We are excited with the amount of interest in those particular funds in order to promote and extend and elevate the climate change standards throughout the state of New Jersey. And finally, in the Office of Career Readiness, how many of you are high school principals or work with high schools? Thank you. How many of you, if you can keep your hands up for a moment, how many of you also have CTE programs, approved CTE programs? So one of the challenges right now is the implementation of the Perkins 5 legislation and ensuring that we create pathways for these young people to careers that are in demand, that are high wage and high skill. That is a change from previous iterations of Perkins. And Perkins is the federal funding that funds CTE programs throughout the state of New Jersey. And we're excited about working with our vocational technical districts as well as our comprehensive high schools as they implement CTE programs. And just if I could take one last moment to tag along with some of the things that our commissioner was talking about in terms of NJPSS. We have a lot of initiatives that are moving forward in this area, and I'd just like to tick off a few of them at this point. There's the Accelerated Learning Guide that's available for your review and implementation. Summer learning activities, maximizing schedules to support high-impact tutoring that's coming on board. The commissioner mentioned both Rapid and Rapid Plus. These are free professional development opportunities for any elementary educator that works with children. Rapid is for K through 3. Rapid Plus is for our upper elementary teachers and support staff, as well as leadership opportunities for professional development in those areas. These are research-focused, highly cited and really focused on best practices that are going to be presented throughout the state from our university partners as well as other education vendors. And that's going to be available to you in the summer and into next school year as well. We also have information on option 2. That's more for our high school folks. This is an opportunity for independent student learning opportunities to provide some guidance out there in the field, to use that as an opportunity to accelerate learning, as well as focusing and elevating dual enrollment in this state. And a commission study is being in the process of being developed and approved, and we're really excited about that program too, and that's going to be coming up shortly. So with that, I'll leave it there and turn it over to my colleagues.
Thank you so much, Dr. Schiff. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Christopher Irving. Dr. Christopher Irving is the Assistant Commissioner of Field Support and Services for the department. His department is focused on supporting local school districts through the 21 county offices of education and the departments within those offices. And Dr. Irving, we welcome you to share anything you'd like to as well.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And let me begin by saying I have the pleasure to work alongside some amazing people who are sitting up here and working with the commissioner who is always asking us as the assistant commissioners as we make recommendations to her about the impact it has on you. And so it is such a great honor to be here today and to talk to you a little bit about what we do in the Division of Field Support and Services. My division is very diverse and at times complex as well. We have the Office of Non-Public Schools, the Office of OFAC, the Office of Physical Accountability, the Office of Comprehensive Schools, the Charter School Office, and as we just heard, the County Offices of Education. But I want to spend some time talking about the office that probably impacts you all the most, the Office of Recruitment, Preparation, and Certification. Without a doubt, the elephant in the room is the teacher shortage and the impact that this shortage is having on many of you and most importantly on our children. I want to be clear and reiterate that that shortage is not just a New Jersey shortage. And I know we feel it because we live it every single day, but it is a national shortage. And we at the Department of Education in our division, through this office, are doing everything we can to help support you. And I wanted to highlight 3 specific initiatives that have gone into place in my tenure as being Assistant Commissioner. The first one has been the rolling out of New Jersey EdCert, and the New Jersey EdCert platform. For the folks who got their certification some time ago, I don't want to date anybody in this room, but you may recall the older version of submitting your certification, which was quite antiquated. Through our commissioner's leadership and through our team, we instituted NJPSA. And this platform allows for much more virtual communication, information, exchanging of information between the candidate and the department so that we can review their credentials and get them back to you as soon as possible. This process in the past could have taken as much as 6 to 8 weeks. Now, as long as a candidate has completed the documents and uploaded everything they can, and I stress that because you're the folks waiting for them and waiting for you all to help us help them. As long as those documents are fully uploaded, we're able to process these applications in up to 22 days. And so I want to thank you all for the work that you're doing in your local districts to help support those candidates as they come to us. But as part of that process, it is inevitable that sometimes information, transcripts, get lost or don't get uploaded in the appropriate time. And so sometimes there are moments where candidates need to speak to or find someone to be able to talk through. Our call center has gone through a vast revamping with hours extending now to 7 p.m. in the evening. I heard stories from teachers when I was a superintendent about on their lunchtime trying to cram the phone call in between a prep or in between lunch, or even maybe some of you before you got your certifications as principals went through a similar process. And so, we now tell folks, you don't have to rush. We have early morning hours, and we also have evening hours. Again, the commissioner talked about being responsive, and we care deeply about making sure that those individuals who have questions for us in our department, our division, are able to get those answers. Like any call center, if you call at peak hours during the course of the day, you're going to get peak times. I mean, our waiting times average between 1 minute and sometimes 15 or so. But we ask people to be patient with us. But I will tell you, if you call in the morning or even in the evening afterwards, you have a much better chance of being able to get someone really quickly. And so again, information that we'll ask you all to share with your constituents and your potential hires as well. And the last piece I want to just kind of hammer home is a memorandum that got released to the field in February from our division of OFAC with regard to the fingerprinting process. As we all know, many of you are forecasting, having conversations with regard to renewals, non-renewals, potential vacancies that you will have in your respective districts. I tell folks all the time, especially now, having been a superintendent and wondered how did this work at the Department of Education when it came time for July and August and the fingerprinting crunch that comes through and trying to get these folks to you, that time is the only thing that is your best friend when it comes to fingerprinting and trying to get your candidates through. Again, I did not know prior to becoming an assistant commissioner that we are not the only folks who go through Identigo. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I thought we were so special as educators that Identigo was our system. In fact, every state agency utilizes Identigo. Every person who goes through background checks for weapons and guns, et cetera, goes through Identigo. And so at any given moment, any given time, anyone in our New Jersey ecosystem can be going through that system. And so educating you all, educating your HR manager, your superintendents, has been my key drive because time is your friend. And so I am asking you all as principals and supervisors to have conversations with your superintendents, with your HR managers about forecasting your non-renewals, your renewals, your retirements, or your vacancies that you happen to be in your district. Because these conversations, if they happen now, will yield and have great dividends for the work that you all will do as you all begin the school year next year. The last thing I'll share is that principals and supervisors always have kind of two eyes facing different directions, right? The world of now in the world of next year. And we want to do everything we can to help support you now, and most importantly, next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Irving. Now, our next panelist was intended to be Carrie Booker, who is the Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Early Childhood Services at the department. And his department includes the Office of Preschool Education and the Office of K-3 Education. The division also houses the Federal Head Start program and the Governor's Council for Young Children. Unfortunately, Carrie could not be with us today, and we do have with us instead Acting Commissioner Alan McMillan's Chief of Staff, Julie Bunt. And in terms of providing a bio on Julie, what I will say is, as Chief of Staff, much like a principal, today, her job is filling in for Carrie Booker. So welcome, Julie, and please share with us what you can.
Thank you so much. Chief of Staff. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to continue Commissioner's theme this morning of vulnerability. So I really appreciate having Kim here and helping to provide the updates for, thankfully, 2 offices in the Division of Early Childhood Education, but 2 very and extremely important offices. Governor Murphy has made it clear that universal access to preschool education is a cornerstone of his administration. And to Commissioner's point, that is one of the reasons why we can tout over a $1 billion investment in the implementation of universal access. And another very important reason why we thought it was so pivotal to have this conversation and make sure that we are putting in the forefront the work of the department in this space. It is a 1,000-seat investment every time Governor Murphy puts another $40 million in his budget. And we know that serving our youngest learners does not come as an easy task. Therefore, we are so pleased that Governor Murphy has also made investments in ensuring that this access and ensuring that this implementation is done with ease, or with as much ease as is able to be done when putting preschool students into your classrooms. And that includes a $120 million investment in preschool facility funding. That investment is only one of the considerations that we hear on a frequent basis at the Department of Education. And therefore, forthcoming will be additional guidance from the Department of Education regarding the use of eligible preschool education aid funds for the purposes of facilities. In addition to that, additional guidance is forthcoming regarding the use of those funds as well for the ability to transport those Students. I'm going to lean to my colleague here. Please raise your hand if you're serving preschool students. Yeah. All right. Thank you. And if you're not, we understand. It's a scary process. They're so tiny. What do you do with them? I understand. But they're so tiny and they're so unabashed. And so when you're contemplating your school's ability to serve these students, please remember that we're trying to make this as easy as possible. Additional guidance that is forthcoming is going to include some technical assistance and some guidance regarding how to complete an application that's going to get you through the approval process and extending the runway for which we know you have to implement those programs. So knowing that the governor's budget is, a July 1 budget, what we're trying to do and help you do is to get in front of that education implementation window so that as soon as the governor's budget is passed, we have the available funds codified. We can get those funds to you to get those classrooms open and get those students in those seats. I will also, for a moment, address the Office of Kindergarten through 3rd grade education. As a former kindergarten teacher, it is very near and dear to my heart and one of the very best jobs I've ever had in my life. And because of that, I know that children come in varying degrees of readiness for kindergarten. That preschool runway is not only a runway for educational trajectory, that is also a runway for economic stability and economic impact across our state. And so with the kindergarten through third grade office, they are putting together specific professional development opportunities, and those professional development opportunities are designed to be targeted for that implementation, whether you be an administrator, whether you be an educator, or whether you be a service provider. Targeted technical assistance training is forthcoming to help to support the quality of education from that runway of 3 years old up to third grade. In addition to that, I would like to recognize that within Commissioner's proposals, not only for reading acceleration and professional integrated development, Commissioner has also put forward a concerted effort for early childhood education through specific certification recommendations that we are working with our State Board of Education to move forward in April. And with that, Karen, I will please turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Julie. We appreciate it. And our, certainly, last but not least, one of our good friends also, Kathy Ealing. She is the Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Educational Services and has served for the New Jersey Department of Ed for 18 years, which frankly, in and of itself, I think deserves a round of applause. She oversees the critical department services, including the offices of Special Education, Supplemental Program, Fiscal and Data Services, Student Support Services, Performance Management, and the Katzenbach School and Federal Programs. So, Kathy, I'm sure you have nothing to share with us.
Nothing to share. It is remarkable, right? It'll be 19 this year in July, and I'm proud of that. And I'm proud to work with all of these outstanding professionals here. So as Karen said, my division supports mental health, social emotional learning. We support the federal programs, the majority of federal programs, as well as our special populations. So I'd like to begin by just talking a little bit about some of the ways that we are supporting you in supporting the mental health needs of your students and your staff. We released in February of 2022 the comprehensive school-based mental health resource guide. Very proud of this guide. It was a working group established by Governor Murphy. It is a large document, but it takes you all the way from what should a comprehensive, tiered support system look like through all different chapters leading to how do you fund these systems. To support implementation of the guide, we've got a series of webinars. So we've been doing monthly webinars as well as holding office hours, and most of that information is also available on our website. So the department's effort to make sure that mental health is recognized and supported, if you go to the department's website, one of the first icons that you'll see is the link to our mental health information. And so we do encourage you to go and take advantage of these resources. Through the federal emergency relief funds, those ESSER funds, the department also used a large part of their state set-aside funds to create additional grants and give you additional funding to support the implementation of mental health supports. So we had our ESSER 2 funding. We put $30 million out to school districts to support mental health needs for students. And our ESSER 3, we called it our NJPSA Mental Health Support Staffing Grant. An additional $48 million from the state set-aside funds went to support those grants. So I'll remind you that this ESSER funding, we're coming over the cliff, right? So the first round of funding ended last September. Your next round will end this September, and your third and final round will end next September. And so one of the things that we've been doing at the department is thinking about sustainability. How can we help you continue these programs that you've got in place when this federal emergency money runs out? We've developed a resource called Maximizing Your Federal Funds. It's a web-based resource, and it really talks about braiding your funds. So ways that you can look at using state and local funds as well as existing federal funds together to continue to support these wonderful programs. We're lucky that we've received from the U.S. Department of Ed 2 additional grants to support mental health. The first is called the School-Based Mental Health Services Grant. It was a $14 million 5-year grant from the U.S. Department of Ed, and the focus there is on recruiting and retaining a diverse pool of mental health professionals in schools. So we've talked a lot already about the teacher shortage. We know that it's not just teachers. You're losing your psychologists and your support staff and your counselors. We're seeing that there's shortages there as well. So this grant is going to help build a pipeline between our institutes of higher ed and school districts so that the counselors and the other professionals that we train actually stay in New Jersey. In researching and preparing the application for that grant, we learned that New Jersey actually turns out a pretty significant number of school psychologists and counselors. The problem is that they don't necessarily stay in New Jersey. Delaware does a great job of poaching a lot of our candidates. And so we've got to stop that. We've got to figure out, why are they going there? What's missing that they're not staying here in New Jersey? And so this grant will work to improve that pipeline and to keep those professionals here. We also received $20 million for the Stronger Connections grant. Will be a competitive grant that will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And that, again, allows you to focus on using evidence-based practices to create, improve your social emotional learning, mental health, and well-being. So we've got some other things in the pipeline. I'd also like to highlight, we replaced the New Jersey School Climate Survey and recently released the New Jersey School Climate Improvement Platform, or it's called NJPSA. And this is a free online interactive platform that allows you to gather school climate data from your staff, from your families, from your administrators, and from your educators, and use that data to really drive down into the root cause of strengths and challenges within your own school climate. And that, again, I'll highlight, it's a free online platform. We've been doing webinars on it and gotten great response. The governor also has placed mental health and youth mental health as one of his priorities. And he recently invested $55 million statewide to support youth mental health. The department was lucky to receive $3.3 million, and we're going to be using that over the next year. We have an Enhancing School-Based Mental Health Service Initiative. This is a partnership with Rutgers University. We're going to be providing statewide services on trainings on implementing that comprehensive school-based mental health guide I talked about. So for schools or districts that need help in getting that off the ground, there's going to be resources for you. And then we're going to have a comprehensive or an intensive for a smaller cohort of student districts, walking them through with hand-holding, coaching, ongoing support in improving their mental health supports. We're also going to be launching a SEL, or Social Emotional Learning for School Leaders program. That, again, is a partnership with Rutgers University. We're going to release a virtual training series to support school leaders in how to implement social emotional learning in their schools. And finally, the money will also support a youth suicide awareness and prevention campaign. We will be working with an outside entity to develop a virtual training series and a conference, so be on the lookout for that. I'd also like to just briefly highlight some of the work of our Office of Special Education. They recently revamped their website, so I encourage you again to go and take a look, but releasing a lot of resources, including a guide on how to conduct functional behavioral assessments. We're releasing a quarterly newsletter where we're highlighting you and some of the wonderful programs that we have for our students with disabilities, and a transition toolkit for our students who are ages 18 to 21 to ensure their further success. We've also launched 4 communities of practice where we're bringing together teachers and professionals to target different areas for students with disabilities. I'll highlight for you that the school performance reports are currently in the embargo period that runs from March 20 to March 31st. They will be released publicly. The intent is on April 5th after the state board meeting. So hopefully you've had a chance and an opportunity to go to homeroom to look at your school and your district data, because that is available for you now. And also to highlight, lastly, as the commissioner mentioned, our NJPSA, or our New Jersey Partnership for Student Success. We recently launched one-page resource documents in 14 different areas to support our specialized populations. We have information on mental health for students with disabilities, reducing barriers for students experiencing homelessness, and ways to support students who are deaf or hard of hearing. Those are just some examples. So we encourage you to take advantage of those resources as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. So what we would like to do at this time is invite all of you to raise any questions with the Department of Ed, share with them the things that are of greatest importance to you at this time, pose questions, offer suggestions, and we'll give them the opportunity to respond to those to the extent that they are available. So, Debbie, I think, is going to be walking around with a microphone. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yep, go right ahead. Kick us off, thanks. And please, as you begin your question, introduce yourself and your district.
Sure. Teresa Herrero-Taylor. I'm actually chair of the Special Education Committee for NJPSA, and I am Director of Special Services for the Jackson Schools. So some of you are, hi. Okay, thank you. So my question is about non-public transportation. Not surprising if you're here in Jackson, because I think we are pretty public about this. First of all, I want to thank you for all your efforts. Great work in special ed, and everything you're doing is really great. Our concern is around funding, no surprise. We are in S2. We've lost 42% of our state aid over time. 19 million lost in 6 years, which really has amounted to huge inequities for our students. Jackson is unique in that we've had 490% increase in non-public transportation. We're looking at budgeting $6 million in non-public for next year. We can't provide a thorough and efficient education at this point with these types of additional costs. Is there any hope for relief for us? Because we're really crippled at this point. And that is something, all S2s are crippled, but we are particularly really at a point where we can't continue. So is there any hope for us, uniquely for non-public? We are really it's a desperate time for us. The amount of cuts that we're talking about, and thank you for the change. That doesn't mean that we still won't have to cut 15 to 20 million to keep things stable. So that's my question. Non-public, is there any hope? Is there any relief? Are we actually going to uniquely look at districts so they can continue to provide a thorough and efficient education? Thank you.
So thank you for that question. I'd like to begin by saying that the SFRA, as amended by S2 legislation, is very prescriptive in that the funding formula is calculated annually. And so, as we heard earlier, there is legislation that is pending. And so, as that is pending, we are unable to comment specifically on any one district, but just know that we stand at the ready to respond to any legislative changes that take place, and look forward to having a one-on-one conversation if you would like to have that with us at a later time. Thank you.
We're also going to ask, as if you have questions, please stand up because we are live streaming and it helps with our sound as well as our visual.
And also, if you have one, raise your hand so I click to the right side of the room. Speak into the mic. Hi.
Hi.
I was like, no, I'm not going to ask my question. I forgot to stand. I'm Anne-Marie Vincicle. I'm director of... Sorry. This is it.
Thank you.
That's what I thought.
Thank you.
Vulnerability. My name's Anne-Marie Vincicle. I'm Director of Curriculum Instruction in Lincoln Park. And my question has to do with professional development. So with the teaching and sub shortages, so we can't really pull teachers out of the classroom for training, I'm constantly going on the department website. Yesterday there was a math problem solving training that was aligned with a lot of what I believe math instruction should be. But I can't pull teachers out. So I see they get recorded, but then we can never find them later. And Pennsylvania does a great job with Patan on YouTube. I use their stuff all the time for my PD days to get my teachers. So I'm wondering if we could have recordings available.
Thank you. Yes, we've heard similarly that, and as a result, all of our new training that's going to be going out, we're going to either have pre-recorded training that'll be available on our website or voiceover, PowerPoints, self-directed type of learning that'll be available for teachers at a time that's convenient for them. So for all the rapid work that we're going to be doing for early elementary and upper elementary literacy development, that is part of the agreements that we have with all of our partners that we're working with.
Commissioner May, what I also heard is that our website might not be as user-friendly or as convenient as as it could be. So I think we can also take that back to the department and make sure that we're postulating these professional developments in an easily accessible spot and a one spot that is available to everyone. So we can definitely take that feedback as well.
Yep, and we've also built out our YouTube channel too, so if you had a chance to take a look at us online, you'll see that there is more that's there, and that will be growing as a library as we're adding more information to it.
Brian Luciani, Kenilworth, Director of Special Projects. Just on the portfolio portion of what's going on, I know this year it was held in abeyance. Will that be continuing, or is next year we're going back to the portfolio process as we're usually used to regarding the juniors who take the NJPSA, if they don't qualify through the option 2, 3, or 4, then having to take that? Is that going back into, I guess, the hopper, as they say, to start up for next year? And then
Right.
conversely, the NJPSA, I assume, is staying, and then obviously we're still going to continue with the NJSLA to continue out what those portions are going to be. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, the GPA is part of law. It currently is being administered. I think kids are doing their makeup test as we speak. Last year was a field test, so that's why there was no portfolio appeals process, but moving forward, that will be the third pathway to demonstrate graduation readiness. Remember, GPA is the first pathway. There's a secondary pathway for alternative assessments, and then there's a tertiary or third pathway, which is portfolio appeals process. So yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Balveer Singh from Kingsbury Regional in Gloucester County, South Jersey. The question I had was the two times we got a nice, strong applause on state testing is, so continuing on that theme, please correct me if I'm wrong. So my understanding is the 9th grade test for math, and there's 11th grade for graduation requirement. One is to fulfill the federal requirement, and one is for state requirement. However, we or the DOE or the legislature can choose to have the one count for both, meeting both requirements. I'm wondering if there's a position that you have articulated or you plan to eliminate one of those in the near future.
So thank you for that question. So to best answer that, as members of the executive branch, our role at the Department of Education is to implement the policy that is put forward by the governor, as well as ensure that all statutes are adhered to and our regulations are followed. So currently, as you stated, one of the assessments, the NJSLA, does meet the federal requirement, and the NJGPA does meet a state requirement for the 11th grade assessment that has been enacted since, I believe, 1979. So as our legislators consider any possible changes, we remain at the ready to pivot, but currently we do have those two parallel assessments that are being offered and required. Does that help answer your question?
Do you guys have a position or recommendation to the legislature?
Our position is that we implement what is in statute and in regulations. Thank you.
I'm also going to help with this. The department is not at liberty to talk about anything where there's pending legislation. So there is some pending legislation regarding doing away with perhaps the high school graduation assessment requirement. So it puts them in a pickle. And if you asked her the same question, she would give you the exact same words with the answer. So thank you for understanding. We can talk offline about that a little bit, though.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, good morning. Jamie Stevens, Lyndhurst Public Schools, Director of Student Services, overseeing special ed and counseling. As everybody is aware here, the mental concerns of our students are really, really pressing, in particular this school year. Is the department going to offer any additional grant opportunities towards mental health in the future, or is that being considered? Thanks.
So certainly, yes. We have 2 grants that are actually going to be released in the next month. The first is the school-based mental health grant. That is a $14 million grant, and it's designed to recruit and retain diversified pool of psychologists, counselors, to really help you provide more mental health services. The second grant is called the Stronger Connections Grant. That may be released a little bit sooner than next month. But again, one of the focuses in that grant, that's a $20 million 5-year from the U.S. Department of Ed, can be used for mental health. As I said, the governor has also put quite a bit of money in this area, so you are going to see some initiatives roll out for the next school year, including training for school leaders on social emotional learning. We've got opportunities for intensive coaching on how to implement comprehensive school-based mental health services. Your ESSER money, all of that can actually still be used for mental health services. So aside from the grant, the ARP ESSER money, which many districts at this point still have available to them, that money, an allowable use of the 90%, the large pot of money that you receive, can be used for mental health services. So if there's any opportunity to talk with your board or your superintendent about the uses of that funding, that is something that also can be used for mental health services as well.
Hi, thank you for all that you do, seriously. I appreciate all of it. I'm Angelique Gauthier, I'm from Freehold Regional High School District, and I'm an academic supervisor for mathematics. And I just have a quick question for Dr. Schiff. You mentioned the second pathway. We still have not received any cut scores for those alternative pathways. Will we be receiving them soon?
Yes.
Do you want to ballpark that, maybe? No.
No.
Good morning. My name is Joanne Negrin, and I supervise ESL Bilingual Ed and World Languages for Vineland, and I also chair the ELL committee here, but this is not an ELL-specific question. This is actually something that's also dear to my heart, which is the recruitment of a diverse workforce. And I really want to recognize and appreciate many of the things that I've heard from the paid internships, because having to work and basically earn no money for a year is a real barrier for a lot of people who have those obligations, and also the elimination of EdTPA. I think that both of those things are going to help us greatly. Another thing that I was wondering if you had considered, and I know this doesn't originate with you, that it's the legislature that gives and can take away, but the residency requirement.
Yes, so that is with the legislative branch, and I believe that there is discussion ongoing, and that's all that I know at this time.
Good morning, Jessica Smedley. I'm the Director of School Counseling for Hillsborough Township Public Schools. I chair the Mental Health Committee here at PSA and immediate past president of New Jersey School Counselors Association. And Kathleen, I'd like to thank you and your department. We've worked closely with Lou Pereira and his team, being able to give some feedback on some of the programs coming out of the Office for Student Support. So we're excited to talk about that and continue the work together also as leaders. And I commend the focus from the department on helping administrators, including those of us in this room, to understand the mental health needs of our students and to fund those through various grant programs. I just wanted to give feedback and always a shout out. I'm learning my marketing opportunities that all of us who are school counselors and school counseling leaders in this room are very interested in working and engaging with the department in possible opportunities as you roll out, and the connection with Rutgers University with that program that's coming. Unfortunately, we were not included in the mental health guide, so school counselors are not specifically mentioned. So if there's any opportunity for us to get involved as that rollout happens and the mentoring and coaching piece, I think there's a real need for that. So thank you for your consideration. And I wanted to see if we have a date for when we're going to get the NJPSA scores. Any ideas? Maybe before the end of the year, like next 6 months, next 9 months?
Soon.
I tried.
Jordan, you know we're going to bug you about this.
Deb, there's one to the side there.
I have all the answers.
Hi, Heather Schwartz. I'm the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment for the Hazlet Township Public Schools in Monmouth County. My question is regarding certification. I know that we have the cert for P3. We have the cert for K 5, and then we have the middle school cert for 5-8. Is there a consideration, especially now with the need for for preschool teachers, extending that P3 to be a P4 so that there's no gap from a P4 to a 5-8 certification? That might help us a little bit.
So our Chapter 9 regulations, which are those regulations that control the certification statuses for our educators, are currently in front of the state board for consideration for adoption at the April state board meeting. Within those proposals for state board consideration, there are a number of flexibilities that Commissioner Alan McMillan thought was important to help to increase the diversity and the effectiveness as well as the availability of certifications across the state. At this point in time, there is no P4 consideration in front of the State Board of Education. However, we are eager to have the flexibilities that are embedded within our Chapter 9 regulations approved for implementation. And that does not stop the conversation. So I know that Commissioner is putting forward a number of flexibilities now, but there's still room for us to continue to engage in those conversations as we continue through the regulatory process, post these additional and initial flexibilities. So the short answer is not at this time, but certainly willing to consider it in the future.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Jennifer Lowe. I am an NJPSA board member, and I am the Director of Accountability and Special Projects in Delran Township. My question is for Dr. Schiff. We've been following very closely the work on standards development, and we saw the most updated presentation from the State Board of Education. One of the concerns we have in our district is particularly for our elementary teachers, the lift of potentially large incremental changes to both the reading and math curricula being implemented at the same time is a source of concern. We know that, of course, the standards are coming out and we are all anxiously awaiting to do our review. My question is, has any consideration been given to possibly phasing in the rollout of those standards so that the lift on our teachers and districts is not so monumental?
Yeah, it's a very, very important consideration. And due to the public health emergency, there was a clumping of many of our 9 standards that were implemented simultaneously, the 2020, and those are 7 of them. So we're mindful of that. We have had internal discussions about that. More information will be coming, but I do appreciate the thought.
May I just add the thought, and I wanted to acknowledge Dr. Schiff's division for putting forward an elongated time for implementation so that you have the opportunity over the course of the year, hopefully post-board approval, to stagger in the standards review within your school district, as well as I know Dr. Schiff is working to advance even an earlier time frame. So hopefully we will have a portion of the summer this year for you to engage with those standards. So thinking about what your needs are is what they have continued to do, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to move forward faster.
All right.
Good morning, all. I'm Amy Stella. I'm the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Professional Development in the Northern Burlington County Regional School District. And my question is regarding special education candidates. With a number of current vacancies and some additional retirements pending, any suggestions, any guidance on how to staff those types of positions and meet our requirements?
How to staff. So I'll start. Yes, and then turn it over to Kathy and anyone else who wants to chime in. I mentioned in my remarks, I've had the opportunity to attend numerous roundtables across our state, speaking with superintendents. And I'm going to share the message with you that I have shared with them, that I often receive videos from YouTube, TikTok, and other sources regarding teachers leaving our profession and other educators. And so it is quite moving to hear stories of horror, as they self-describe, and to see the number of views these individuals are receiving as they detail their experience. And while we all can rationalize there's two sides to a story and there's a truth, but we know the power of social media and how that can capture one's heart and mind. And so while we acknowledge and accept retirement is a natural part of the process, I think most of us hope to retire at one particular point in time when it's best for us, but it is an issue of retention that we are very focused on addressing. And so the idea is, how do we first and foremost keep the great people we have? And how do we connect with those individuals to ensure they want to stay? We hear about poaching, and we cannot do anything specifically to address that, right? We have a free market, and people are able to pursue opportunities that best suit them. At the department, I've been faced with losing some great individuals, and I've asked to have private conversations with them and learn that some of the systems we had in place were causing individuals to feel devalued. So as a result, I changed the system, and the person stayed. So I know that there are instances where vacancies arise, and it is not within your control to influence the outcome. But we have also on our website a live link with real-time postings for every school district in our state. And we take pride in ensuring that we're a part of the process in attracting talent within New Jersey. But we also acknowledge that our educator preparation program numbers are decreasing, and we're seeing more individuals who want to switch careers come into education. So it is a unique, well, let me rephrase that. It is important that we continue to advance the programs that we have in place with a campaign. And I was debating whether I was going to say that or not. That's why I stumbled. So we do have a campaign that we are working on for educator recruitment, for educator retention. And the governor has allocated additional funding in the budget. So that's what we're looking at. How can we help you to attract individuals? With 665 school districts, think about 665 students. Your cultures are all unique. And so what we're promoting is that when you come into a position in New Jersey, you are going to be valued, you are going to have voice, and you are going to have one of the most rewarding experiences in your entire career. And so that's our commitment as far as outreach, and we know that's what you're going to deliver as well. Anyone want to add?
I'll just add, Commissioner, because you specifically referenced special education. One of the things that we are in the very early stages of exploring that's been successful in other states is grow your own programs within special education, because you have a unique population of perhaps paraprofessionals. And so what other states have found success in is supporting those paraprofessionals in obtaining a special education certification. And so we are very early stages, but it is something that we are exploring.
And not specific to special education, but I just want to acknowledge that we do have the limited CECEAS available for all of our districts. We have not had all of our districts sign up for the availability of that program. So if you have not, perhaps consider it. You might not need it now, but you may need it in the future, and it may help for some of those hard-to-fill areas. So just if you need additional information, please let us know.
All right, I'd like to thank the panel. One more question? Okay.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
And can I say thank you so much for what you just said. I am Dr. Denise King. I'm retired after 30 years, pre-K to 2, 1,000 kids every day. So I get it. I completely understand and value what you just said, because my question was going to be, how do we retain those wonderful administrators who are struggling every day? I'm now the Assistant Director for Retirement and Health Benefits here at NJPSA. And I hear every day so many of our administrators who are struggling with staying in the field. They're tired, they don't feel valued, they don't know that we see them, right? So it really is heartbreaking to hear. I'm talking about colleagues who are in their 40s, 50s, right? And some who have been working 40-something years, who are now just ready to say, I have to retire. They don't want to. They love what they do. They love the students. They love the engagement, but they need help. They need us to know that we value them. So hearing what you just said, Commissioner, I applaud you because we need that in the state of New Jersey. We have phenomenal professional administrators doing above and beyond the call of duty every single day. We have to, us collectively, you, legislators, make sure that we are hearing what they're going through. Not only hearing it, but putting platforms in place, not only for professional development, but for mentorship, for coaching, for helping them. Administrators need you. Please be their voice to get them what they need.
Deb, I think we have one last question right over here, and then we're going to wrap up and give you guys a break, because I know everybody's been sitting.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Martinez, and I am a principal at Hapakon, New Jersey, up north. My question is regarding choice schools. It seems as if when choice schools, a school had applied for choice schools, that is a designation forever. My school is not a choice school, and we lose about 18% of our high schoolers to choice schools. Is that ever going to be reevaluated? Has that come across anyone's table? That is my question.
Yes, I think we continue to reevaluate. I will say that there is legislative function specific to choice and choice districts. So any evaluation would have to be in conjunction with our legislators. We do have regulations that guide the implementation of that legislation, and under Commissioner Alan McMillan, we will be looking at the implementation of the regulations, that what the department can control versus the legislation.
Okay, we do need to wrap up and move on, because I know that we need to get the Department of Ed on the road. Several people have appointments. I want to make just one last point about pre-K, and we all very much appreciate what Governor Murphy has been doing in bringing pre-K programs in. I would like to just plant the seed of a reminder that not every district has full-day K. So, you know, we talk about, I've heard the governor on any number of occasions talk about pre-K as a budgetary and a lifestyle thing for parents. If you go from full-day pre-K to half-day K, back to full-day school, yeah, that's a nightmare. So let's keep that top of mind. I also, as you've heard today to the Department of Ed panel, our members are very willing to engage with you, and we appreciate very much the ways that you are always willing to engage with us. Let's always keep the conversation going. I remember as I would hire my new teachers, my new coaches and activity advisors, one of the things that I would very often say to people is, so listen, when things are getting a little rough, and you're worried because you don't know how things are going to go, come to me early, okay? I would rather come in and help you through the difficult situation than have to come in at the end and clean up a mess when you didn't ask for the help that you needed. And so this is an invitation to all of us. Your voice matters. Your voice matters, and our communication with each other matters. And we appreciate all we've done to engage with each other to this point. We appreciate your time here today, and we look forward to our continued working relationship and many of our friendships. So thank you for joining us.